Oswald Coolpe was a German psychologist and philosopher who is known to be the guiding force behind the experimental study of thought processes. He went to Leipzig, which was a German hub for new scholars to expand their horizons under the famous Wilhelm Wundt, who is also commonly known as the father of psychology. He became his assistant and began to take over his psychology classes while Wundt continued with philosophy. Oswald's book, Grundrisse, represented a turning point in his career. Wundt was expecting Coolpe to branch out according to what he taught him, but instead Coolpe did the exact opposite and broke away from under his position. Although not to a great extent, but this stirred the German academic world a bit.
During Coolpe's time in Leipzig, he and several other of Wundt's pupils were able to participate in his first laboratory experiment to understand perceptions and sensations. According to Wundt, he believed that sensation was linked to the body and the physical world, and thus that the brain would occupy atoms related to the mind. In an attempt to measure these atoms, Wundt was accompanied by his pupils in the University of Leipzig to measure the time between people hearing the sound of a ball hitting a platform and the physical response. In order to track these physical responses, Coolpe was directed to press the telegraph key, which was able to record our sensation of sound and the speed of our thought process. Wundt's theory of mental processes implied the reaction time experiments could serve as a model for investigating many mental phenomena, including attention, will, association, feeling, and emotion. However, these reaction time experiments were the first ever experiments conducted on the complex central nervous system.
Wundt's continuous experiments on reaction time showed the idea that any mental process could be considered to take a specific neural route requiring a certain amount of time. This idea has the necessary implication to his theory of self-control. Wundt promoted a program for the study of motivationally controlled process of decision and choice by conducting a thought experiment. Also, Wundt's lab could incorporate the research on reaction times of many scientists and use it to further our knowledge about psychophysiology. Wundt's method is still widely used and accepted as a standard in the science of psychology today. For example, researchers first observe physical changes, such as reaction time with muscle movements, verbal response with a self-reported experience, or a bodily reaction with different heart rates. They carefully record the variations in these responses and distinguish the two essential parts, signal and noise. The signal is a meaningful part of variation that the researchers want to explain, and the noise is the interceptive variation. The researchers then measure physical changes in the body and the brain to make inferences about the mental. That being said, we should interpret the signal solely contributed to psychological meaning and to rule out the noise, not to interrupt the interpretive process.
Coolpe was originally an assistant of Wundt. At that time, Wundt believed that thinking and thoughts could not be studied experimentally in psychology. But Coolpe wanted to study advanced psychology which involved perception and sensation, while Wundt believed that advanced psychology could not be tested or using experimental way to study. Therefore, Coolpe opened up the field of experimental research of thought and the proposed notion of imagineless thought, which means there is non-perception and non-sensation things existed in thoughts. This constitutes the well-known theory of imagineless thought of the Wurzburger school, which separated him from Wundt. Under the leadership of Oswald Coolpe, Wurzburgers began to apply experimental techniques on psychology research. Although Wundt expected the work to be a mere compendium of his own ideas, Coolpe broke away from the master's positions, abandoning his conscious attitude toward the possibility of physiological explanation of all psychological phenomena. A better understanding of the shift from Wongtian to anti-Wongtian psychology can help to shed light on the historical and the philosophical aspects of a key stage in the development of modern psychology.